All right, today I promise you we'd get it totally going. So we have an amazing guest and we got a great show to bring to you all to give you the kind of insights behind the sport of combat that is going to basically give you the most information to help you start really understanding how beautiful this sport is. But before we get started, we have to introduce our sponsors. We got to keep the lights on in this place, and that's Jab Juice Consultants, who take what we are and where we were in the age of combat, and we bringing them to the modern day, giving the athletes and the trainers and the promoters the helping hand they need to get the careers and that just permeate through the market space, and giving them the information and the guidelines to build their brands up to the next level. Like we all know that it matters in this day of social media and AI. You got to have that backbone. Jab Juice Consulting Agency is your backbone. And special shouts out to our other sponsor, Link Bracelet. I'm never without it. If you got to communicate and you got to interact with people, this is the best thing. I'm telling you, I've been using it for like over a year now. I don't leave home without it. Link, check them out. It's definitely 2024 status. Now, here we go. Today, what we're going to do, we have an amazing guest coming on board. First of all, we got to give it all up to the combat ladies and those who are behind the scenes. And we got a special person who's behind the scene today. But today I got to introduce her because we got great people. And we didn't go backwards today. I think we leaped up into the forward future with my friend and guest, Kim Hurwitz from TrillerTV. Welcome to the Fight Show.
That's right. Oh yeah, I gotta get up
Yes, you
mutes
got to
here.
do the stuff. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good.
Good,
I
good.
even brought a few props too. So
What?
if there's ever like slows down, I'll bring out some of my autographed glove collection.
Oh,
This is from Julio Cesar Chavez,
no way.
legend.
No way.
Oh yeah, actually I have
Mhm.
two from him. So I've been doing the fight game a long time. Like
Yeah,
let's call it 30 years.
30
Um,
years.
and I can't like lie about it anymore. Seem even younger
It
because
is what it is.
the
You
thing is
like wine. You
I
just
won
get better with time.
I won the marketing contest of UFC 1. Okay, so they're at
Wow.
30 years, right? So it's
30
like,
years. I
oh
remember the first
man.
episode, 1993, right?
1993. Yeah, it was owned by
Yeah.
Semaphore Entertainment Group. So it was a different owner. Um, they were a music like concert company,
Yeah.
and they just did this, no holds barred, no rules, whatever. And so I was working in cable at the time in pay per view, and so it was just one of the many things that we carried along with our HBO boxing and Showtime boxing. Those were the two big powerhouses
Oh my
back in
gosh.
the 90s. And yeah, I won the contest. $50 was my prize. And so
Whoa.
I've seen every UFC. So I'm a huge MMA fan. So full disclosure.
Wow. No,
Um,
that's
but
great.
and then in the early aughts, I worked at DirecTV as head of pay per view. And
Hmm.
Dana White actually came to my office and had in hand and said, we've been purchased by Zuffa and we're going to get sanctioned and we're going to add some rules and like kind of do whatever. And so this was 91, I think. And we were the only ones carrying the UFC because they had been banned from cable. People said it was barbaric and whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And well, there weren't many rules actually.
There
Um,
weren't any rules, right?
no, there were three
No weight
things.
classes or anything.
No, well, you couldn't fish hook. You can't kick them in the
Yeah, both of those rules.
man cards. There were a couple of things that you couldn't do, but for the most part, it was anything goes. Anyway, fast forward, boxing was really the sport that got me into this whole field
Yeah.
because I saw Leonard Hearns. No, it was Leonard Hearns. It was Hagler.
Hagler
Hagler
Hearns.
Leonard. And that changed life for me ever because I was a person with theater background. I like art and movies,
Yeah,
dance and whatever. And it was like dancing. It was like two people who were so good at
yeah,
something. And it was beautiful. It's like, I get it. I
poetry.
totally get it. And so, yeah, that's why I have a lot of gloves. And, this one was also in the early 90s. It's George Foreman, it's Roy Jones Jr., and it's Oscar de la Hoya. They were all on one card.
Oh,
And it was like, they called it Rising Stars.
oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
Foreman had been around a little while. The other two were kind of brand new.
That
And,
is great.
and ever since then, just love boxing and anything around it, kickboxing, uh, just anything. I'm also a musician, so I like music.
So
And
tell me, what do you do? What do you play?
no, I'm a singer, and
Okay, all
I do
right.
I do have a piano back here, but don't really play it. I do write melodies and lyrics and songs and stuff like that.
Oh, so that's right now your hobby.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what you
I know.
do.
I still write and record with my
Do
band
you?
in college, which is not my rock and roll. This is more like the punk pop band or whatever, just for fun. And we kind of took it up again just before COVID because everyone was bored, and so we would just use GarageBand and whatever, and we'd each do our parts and stuff like that. So it was, you got to be creative.
People were creative during COVID with the music. With the house to house, everybody's got their camera on themselves, and that unison, that was a big deal. I really
Yeah.
think that it really showed people what you're really capable of. Now, I start to typically, what I do is I like to give people a little something that they could put a grasp on. So what I did is I grabbed a word that is relevant to this time, this day,
Mhm.
more than ever. So today, the word is reciprocity, the practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefit, especially when these individuals are who are in the sports world. And I'm speaking to the people who are in the sports world, the people who are behind the scenes. The word reciprocity is all about giving and taking and pitching and catching and coming together and crossing over, the same way that boxing and MMA has crossed over, the same way that you got the wrestlers, you got the karate, you got judo, you got all of these different entities over the past 3.5 decades that
Mhm.
have crossed over.
Yeah.
And listen to how important this is. The people who are behind the scenes, that probably is one of the most important jobs today that is popular, which is the world of marketing. And the people who are behind the scenes making these events happen, who don't get really, that shine. So today, what I wanted to ask you is, what are some of the characteristics? Because we have a demographic of women that watch. Like, what are some of the characteristics that you would say that is required for women to get to a place where they're in the forefront of, a company that does what you do? What are some of the characteristics that they should really consider jumping, putting up front and center?
Well, I think you got to do something that you're passionate about. And
Yeah,
so that's what drove me.
yeah,
Even though what I'm doing now doesn't have a whole lot to do with theater arts, which is what I studied in college.
yeah,
But in a way, it does. Because in theater arts, you have to read a lot and write a lot. It's like
yeah,
an English major, but you can also perform. Is the way I like to
yeah,
think about it. And marketing is just sales
yeah,
in a bigger arena.
yeah,
So you're speaking to everyone, and I was always good in sales. I did that. I actually started out in engineering. Don't ask how I started there, but I was always good at math, and so I did a bunch of engineering stuff because I was a singer, right? So I needed a day job.
yeah, yeah,
Even though, I had college
yeah,
and all this other stuff, so I just kind of did this day job in the cable company, not knowing, whatever that is, and I started in engineering, and then I got into sales. And then I said, I want to go where people are having all the fun, where they're giving away the
fun.
swag. That was marketing, right? So
Yeah,
what I did was I shadowed a guy. He said, "Oh, hey, you want me to? I'll teach you everything that you're doing, and that way, at some point when I leave, you'll know how to do my job already." So it was kind of
big
like a
deal.
mentorship,
It
and
was.
and that's really kind of how I got into it. And I realized how closely sales and marketing are. And I was like one of their top salespeople, and yet I'd never done sales before. And people go, well, what is the secret? I said, I'm not selling you anything. I'm solving a problem.
Solving a
So
problem.
I would ask people like, well, what do you need? What do you want? What's your lifestyle like? And then I would go, oh, I have that.
You
And
meet
it's
them where they are.
on sale. And marketing is really just kind of like that. It's
Yeah.
finding your audience, and
Yeah.
then you're going to try and give them what they want. And but you can, if you're a real visionary like Steve Jobs, he would say people don't know what they want. We tell them what they want. All
We
right.
tell them what they want.
And if you know what, and that works for you if you have a lot of brilliant ideas. But a lot of people, because you were saying in general, if women or men, want to get into the sports of, the field of sports, or
Hmm.
whatever they think would be like a fun lifestyle, or a fun vocation, because if you love what you do, then you never work a day in your life, right? So,
Mm-mm.
for me, it's like the lines have blurred a bit, because I would be, and this is true with everyone who works at Triller TV, the company we're at now. I
Yeah.
mean, we would be watching this stuff anyway. So,
Anyway.
because we're such fans, we like the pro wrestling and the boxing and the karate and the MMA, and we have sumo, we're getting
The
into
whole
multi
thing.
sports now too. In the pandemic, we had to get other sports because live sports was just kind of dead there for a while.
Yeah.
So we got into motorsports, because you got a
Everything.
helmet and you got gloves and you're about 6 feet apart. It followed all the COVID protocols. It was perfect. And then,
Everything is high energy too. Like
yes,
very
yeah.
everything that you guys have. It's just like grab popcorn, just go to Triller TV and just
Well, and
have
if you're in the UK or Ireland, you get soccer as well. Of course, they call it football over
they
there,
call it
but
football. Yeah.
we have like big leagues. Like you're going to see Cristiano
Yeah.
Ronaldo play on some of these leagues, and like all the big guys. And it's the Asian Football Club, and it's Eredivisie, and it's the Liga Portugal, and it's on our subscription platform, and it's been doing really well. And that's one of the reasons why we changed our name. Now we are owned by Triller,
Yes.
the overall
But
corporation.
you're a Fight TV.
Right. Well, we're Fight TV, but we were purchased by them a couple of years ago. But
Yeah.
we kept the name Fight because we're mainly combat sports. But as we started branching out into soccer and basketball and world team tennis and some
Yeah.
music and
Yeah.
other things, we thought we need something that's like broader. And so we've said, well, we're owned by Triller. How about Triller TV? And that way, it's like, oh, okay, so we can do music, and if we want to do movies, we can. We can do a little bit of anything. So that's our goal, is to keep expanding. We're already global, and
Yeah.
we've sold into 182 countries or whatever. I mean, there's more than that. There's
Wow.
200 countries out there, but for the most part, people who have Wi-Fi, and any place you can get Netflix, you can get Triller TV, and we
So
have
tell me.
review and subscription.
So I got a question. Like with the merger of all of these entities, because these are all entities, these things have been established. You just made a decision like this is great. This is great. What has been one of the sports that has really taken you back? Like, I didn't know I would love this. Like, which one has been something that most people wouldn't realize that it's really good? I know pickleball is jumping off down here in
we,
South
we
Florida.
we we just carried a collegiate level pickleball. It was a 3-day contest in San Diego that was on our
Yeah.
subscription platform, and they'll have more competitions. That is like a hot trend, although it's often for like the over 50 crowd, but this was like collegiate level, so they were
Okay.
younger people, and but let's see. Sumo has been really pretty popular. It's the world's biggest sports, like they like to call it. And there's one coming up this weekend, actually, from the Hulu Theater in Madison Square Garden. And they've been doing really well at their live gate. And so we're trying to promote them more. We do a little bit of everything. There's probably 200 different companies that we've carried. And prior to coming here, I was a founding employee and a CMO of Karate Combat, and they're out there too, doing bigger things than ever as well. But I was really proud to be a part of growing that sport. We didn't have a name or a website or anything when I joined them. I think I was employee number 2 or something like that. And I am a black belt in Shotokan karate. So are my kids. So, it's like it became a lifestyle. So I am partial to karate. But I love obviously boxing, and I've really come to appreciate pro wrestling because they saved our butt during COVID because they never really stopped. And pro wrestling is just so fun, and you see a lot of crossover now, boxers going into wrestling and then MMA people going into boxing, and then they're going back, and like there's that Diaz Masvidal fight that's coming up. These are MMA guys, but they're doing boxing. And then there's 2 words that really kind of redefined a lot of years gone past. Jake Paul is the name.
Insane.
And of course, he's fighting on Netflix against Tyson.
How crazy is that?
It's crazy.
Yeah, well, my friend, she works over at DAZN and ESPN, Claudia Trejos, and she said, well, Jake knocked out the last guy in like the first round, and she was like, well, it's time for him to fight a real boxer. So he went and got Mike Tyson.
Well, right? Of course, he fought Tommy Fury, a real boxer, and one loss. So, but I think that Jake is we've carried almost all of his fights from very, very beginning. So we know him and his manager, Nakisa, who they run Most Valuable Productions and promotions. And we've done stuff with Logan Paul as well. He also fought KSI on a card we had years ago.
Twice.
So, I have a lot of respect for Jake Paul. I mean, you don't want to count this guy out. He is serious in what he's doing, and he has an age advantage. I guess Tyson's about 30 years older,
57 years old, 58 this year. So
but I mean, Mike, it's like that guy is not built like an average human being. I mean, he's special. He's got a gift. And he still got it. I wouldn't ever take him lightly.
No, you don't take him lightly, but Kim, I'm going to ask you this, marketing, right? Mm-hmm. Marketing always makes it look so much more like, whoa, because it's a promo, Well,
I mean, but it will be exciting, and better than anyone, because this is your field, is fighters sell the fights. So I may be head of marketing, but it really depends on the product. I mean, that's a big difference. One of the game changers for our company was during the pandemic, and it was Tyson Roy Jones Jr. And remember, and Jake Paul was on the undercard against Nate Robinson, and Snoop Dogg was doing commentary, and Wiz Khalifa was like, doing some songs. Like everything was being thrown. It's like, what is this? What is this? Triller Fight Club? And that was the first thing we ever did, and that kind of came up together because I knew Ryan Kavanaugh from a previous company that I'd worked at when he was at Relativity. And, we said, hey, you got to talk to us to be your digital distributor. And it was the biggest thing that year and the 8th biggest pay-per-view ever. So it completely changed our trajectory. And we were now a profitable company. And in this, this juggernaut of being kind of the go-to outlet, we're device agnostic and get us anywhere. And we were load tested because there were north of 700,000 digital buys. That was just on our platform. That was not anything else.
Insane. At
the same time, to have all these concurrent views at once, we were all kind of going, I hope this
holy
it should, but we never had been tested like that. So
No.
now, and kudos to Costa and Stefan, who, are co-owners and co-founders, and my boss, Mike Weber, who's, the person who kind of said, let's start with pro wrestling. And I mean,
Yeah.
and that kind of got us off the ground. But, the executives at our company, they are also data scientists and engineers. They build all the apps. They had patents. They work for other big, space age companies, and they decided, well, we should do this on our own. And they were originally called Flips Media because it was when you cast with your
Yeah.
phone to a
Yeah.
TV. They own some of those patents, and so it was Flips Media. But then it became Fight, and now, of course, it's Triller TV. But same great guts inside.
It is. It is. With
So
that being said, though, with you, like, honestly, I get up in the morning and I say, I love life. And a lot of people don't get up and go and do what they love. When you do it at the pace,
you're muted, Eric.
sorry,
Oh, there you go.
there we go. Sorry. Tell me, what is it that you do to stay as razor sharp as you do? Like, what is something you do in the morning that you do, or in the evening, that keeps you like on? Because people kind of do like this,
Yeah.
and
I
yeah,
always keep a pretty high energy level. I try and run every day. I try and, stay in shape. I also do a dry sauna
dry sauna.
every day. And
Okay.
it's kind of like my meditation. I do it for 30 minutes, and I have my Bluetooth in there. So I'm listening to my Spotify playlist, and, I'm changing it up. And if I go in there with a problem, I come
Hmm.
out with a bunch of ideas. For
Okay.
some reason,
Yeah.
it allows me just kind of the sweating and just the music, and I use the red light therapy and the whole thing. It just like cleanses you. And I literally will go in, and sometimes I cry in there, like if I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
It's like you just let it out.
Yeah.
Let it out. And I come out of there, and it's like I have a whole new attitude and ideas, because
Ideas.
I just tell myself, okay, here's my problem. Here's my problem. And then I often will sing, to the songs and stuff like
You
that.
are funny.
You don't have to think about it. Like the mind
Yeah.
will do it. You just need to tell your mind, I have
Yeah.
this problem. So
Yeah.
ruminate.
Yeah.
And then when I get out of here, have something for me.
That's
And I
right.
come out and I go, that's what I'm going to do.
Well, when I hear you say that, I think about a lot of I always try to come up with a technique of something. So I learned, like, if you need an answer, instead of saying, this is hard, you just like, what can I do to fix this problem? And that's where the brain goes. So I think the minute you go into the dry sauna, the think tank, that's what we'll call your dry sauna, the think
There you
tank.
go.
It goes, and that's how I am at 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning. Like, my mind is like, zzz. So when you get into, look, yo, I gave you a hack. You got a hack from Kim. Now use that hack, and you can have the superpowers like her. You can have the energy, the sharpness, and you can move a company through the rankings if you just get in a dry sauna every single day. That's the
Uh,
life hack.
I did give a good plug to the sauna. I got it from Amazon, and it's broken down a few times. And I called the company, and they just sent me, because it stopped working, and they sent me a new power supply, and I'm really handy. So I replaced it myself, and now it
Oh,
works, and it's just fine. But it doesn't have to be a dry sauna. Find your own dry sauna
yeah.
hack, because maybe that's not your thing. Maybe
Yeah.
it is. I mean, it is really good for you. But
Oh, I know.
it's you just need to find something that makes you feel good. Like pleasure is fine. Find something that's pleasurable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're going to keep this PG rated, so I'm not going to go any further than that. But it's like whatever it is,
Yeah.
do it on a regular basis, and you'd be surprised how wonderful the brain is, because when you do something that's pleasurable, your brain, it's like it relaxes or something, and it allows the natural connections figure it out, because any
Yeah.
problem you have in your life right now, you probably have the answer in your head already.
Yeah.
They haven't connected yet.
Yeah, I think because your energy is always like boom, boom, boom. It's obvious that you get things done. I mean, I thought you had 47 people working for you when you started doing the posting with the flyer from today. I was like, man, she got octopus
No, that
arms.
was all
I'm
me.
like, yo, and that tells me everything. How you do anything is how you do
Yes.
everything.
Yeah, I love that saying. It's so
And
true.
I was thinking, wow, that is somebody who is like-minded. And you're a unicorn. Obviously, when you're doing that, though, and you're as sharp as you are, you get going like that. When you are trying to, I guess you can see a lot of holes in other organizations because you're so thorough. And anyone watching right now, there's something you do great, right? And everybody has a superpower.
Yep.
Not everybody's utilizing, but if you do have a superpower, my encouragement is to always tap into it. But when you have a superpower, you can see where people lack particular things. What are some things that you see like in other organizations that they could be better, even ones that are big? What are some commonalities, like, because you're good at marketing and you understand? My biggest thing is really encouraging the athletes and stuff to build themselves up, because the reason why Tyson and Jake are going to make $50 million collectively is because they both got right on the job the minute they signed the contract. They got right into marketing.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
tell that to fighters who are on these cards all the time. I'm
Yeah.
saying there's a reason why they're making,
Yeah.
$50 million this year,
Yeah.
because they worked their asses off. They
Yeah.
don't assign it to someone. They take ownership of their success,
Hmm.
and they're working constantly. You're
Yeah.
always trying to get better. You have to be kind of crazy, I think, in a way, crazy good, in that relentless, maybe that's a better word, not crazy, relentless,
Creative.
because if you just keep doing it, you will make little tiny increments, and if you see it over time, little increments, they
Yes.
become massive. You
They
look at
become.
the end of the year, it's like, you can't believe how much stuff you've done. And when my kids were each 5, they turned 5, I put them into karate. And I think martial arts, or any kind of, it could be MMA, it could be boxing, that kind of um, training is so important to get kids started off on the right road, because it will make them better students, and like kinder, and like better with friends and with people, and they'll have less depression, because you're kind of demanding. I mean, I was
Yeah.
not a strict mom, I was pretty lenient, but I said there's a couple things you're going to do, and one
Yeah.
is you're going to go to karate twice a week, and you're going to try your best, and then and you're going to do your homework, and you're going to go to bed at a certain time and eat a certain way, but other than that, I don't care what you do, and I'm
Yeah.
going to give you lots of leeway, and I'm going to allow you to make mistakes and whatever. And they and it wasn't just my kids. I saw the other kids in the dojo and their parents, and that's how I got started. I was watching them so much. It's like, I'm sure I could do that kata by now. My brain has seen it like 50 million
So
times.
funny.
By the time my daughter, she was 5 years younger, I asked the dojo, I said, do you teach adults too? And they said, oh yeah, sure. And so
That
she
was it.
we got our black belts at the same time. And my son, who was ahead of us, my son, full disclosure, works for the UFC. So it's now, it was his first job out of college. So,
Yeah.
um, it kind of, now it runs in the family. See,
Is
it may become a vocation if you start that karate thing.
what is he doing? What is he doing in the UFC now? Is he high energy in marketing? What is he doing?
He has a degree in business, but
Okay.
he actually he works in the anti-doping, that new, they're not using USADA anymore, so he's in that group of people.
Yeah, the guy who's tested Conor McGregor 5 times this year. They've been.
So yeah, he does that, and he loves it because he's really good with numbers and
It's
statistics,
powerful.
and just and plus he's he's not a fighter per se, but he's a black belt, and 3 years
Yeah,
of Krav Maga and whatever. And it's like they respect the fact that he's there,
absolutely.
and of course
No,
he's really healthy.
yeah, he's not a fighter, but he can fight. So, the bottom line is the relentless DNA
Yeah,
runs through the family. And as I thought about it, Relentless by Tim Grover, and I'm getting Tim on the show, and he was over Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, like D Wade, Dwayne Wade. He just was the mental side of everything. He was the maniacal. He was yeah, and
yeah,
his
it pays dividends.
it does.
I
It does.
recommend it.
And just being rejected so many times, like just kept going after it and just got more driven. And you just said it, Kim. You just spoke. You have to have a little bit of crazy going
Yeah,
on. You got to have a little crazy songs going on in the head, like that energy that the individuals like Jake have. Even look, you look at Tyson, how hard he's marketing. Even Rock Dwayne Johnson. Look at this
yes,
guy. People really don't understand when people are surfacing like that, and I'm sure you'll agree. The reason why they're making the bag like they're making that money is because they are working when you're not.
right.
And I said, athletes, I said, you guys are fighting 50%. That's 50%. The training camp is 50%. You quit the other 50%. That's why you only make a fraction of what the other guys make,
Yep.
because they start marketing with their training or eating and being out and about. They're doing things when you're wanting to go and just sit in front of the television and sit in the cold plunge. They got their cameras on. They're reaching out to crowds. They're walking through malls. It's
Yeah,
it's an entire thing.
it is.
Where do you feel like individuals like that, like there's a lot of people that will watch this and they will wonder, how can I actually start? What's my first step? What would you tell that person? It's females, it's males. We got world champions that I know on the feed watching, but they don't have good branding. They just have not taken that step. What is a way that you feel they could just open up that can of whoop ass to the market?
They need to be authentic and like whatever it is that makes them special. And come on, everybody's got something that makes them special. Maybe it's a backstory. Maybe they were someone that suffered with an ailment when they were younger and they got over it. Maybe they
Mm-hmm.
had cancer and they got over it. Maybe they, came from a broken home. Maybe they had some addictions that they had to deal with and they overcame it. I mean, I think you want to tell your story because
Yeah, that's what I was
people
going to say.
love authenticity. They love
Mm-hmm.
people who are real. And, that's why even if you look at talk show hosts like, Howard Stern and Joe Rogan or whatever, they didn't have easy lives. In fact, sometimes, and I think a lot of people would agree with me that the people who've had a harder life sometimes have an advantage over
You
people
do.
who had
Yeah.
helicopter parents and never really made any mistakes or had
Yeah.
leeway. And I worry a little bit about some of the parenting styles that I saw going up around me. It was like, oh my God, it's so different from how I grew up, and like,
Yeah.
I had the ability to make small mistakes when you're small.
Yeah.
That's when you should be making them. So
Yeah.
as an adult, you go, I'm not doing that anymore, But all right, so whatever. Maybe you have to go through your 20s or whatever and make a bunch of mistakes then, but you have to really look inside and like, why do you ask your friends, like, what do you like about me? What
Yeah.
should I be promoting more? I mean, if you can't find it yourself, then ask someone who cares about you.
Yeah.
And
I
and then
like that.
And then even if you can't come up with an idea, because you may go, there could be someone who's just great, like strong and has
Yeah.
great skills, but they're shy. I mean, Mike Tyson was shy. Remember him
Yeah.
in the beginning? It's like with the doves and like everything,
Yeah.
and like talk about a shattered life, it, you just, but what he decided was he was relentless.
It
He's
was
going to,
relentless.
I'm just going to work hard. I'm going to be the first one, when
Yep.
the gym opens up, I'm going to be the last one to leave. I'm going to help clean up. I'm going to, if I need to get more money, I'm going to work somewhere, to get
Yeah.
more money. I think it's persistence, and just find and try different things. They're not all going to work, but
Yeah.
when it does work, well, then do more of that.
You
I mean,
think
it's
it's I,
basic.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was going to add to what you were saying, that do you think that the failure part, should they expect to fail at first for a little while
Oh yeah, and it's
when
going
they're
to help
starting?
you. I mean, what's the saying? You learn more from a loss than a win, and that is so true. And
Yeah.
that goes for your life too, not just in the ring. I
Yeah.
mean, it, you know,
Mm-hmm. No, that's spot
I've had
on.
horrible things that have happened to me in the past, and so people often, I think, when they hear of a tragic thing that happened to me when I was 21, they may go, "Oh, how did you get beyond that?" And
Mm-hmm.
you're not depressed and this and that, and but that changed my life.
Yeah.
Because I almost died, and it wasn't a health thing. I won't get into it. I don't want to
Yeah.
depress anybody.
We'll say that for another
But,
show.
but let's just say there's a reason why I decided to put my kids through karate, and a reason why I did too. I
Yeah.
said, that will never happen again.
Yeah. I
So,
mean,
and it gave me the confidence and the situational awareness of it just gave me power. And that's one of the reasons why I love martial arts or boxing or anything for women.
yeah.
Well, for women and men for like different reasons. For women, because it gives them, because my daughter has said it to me as well. She goes, I feel safe in most places, because
Interesting.
I know that I have the element of surprise if I was ever accosted. And that will be because she's petite like me. So,
Yeah.
the element of surprise, of course, now I'm telling everyone, oh, yeah, she's a black belt. Anyway,
No worries. Well,
I mean, it's so good for women to realize that they have power. And there are things you can do. There are all the things you can't do in boxing or UFC. All the illegal things that you can't do,
yeah.
that's what you do if you're
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah.
And there are so many great things that you can learn through self-defense, even if you don't want to make a career out of it. And another reason why I think that fighting and learning martial arts and boxing and whatever for men is,
Yeah.
men have a lot of testosterone, and they need to be aggressive. It's good to have a
Yeah.
parent who like roughhouses you. They've proven that psychologically. It's good.
Yes.
You gotta you gotta get it out. And this is a healthy way of getting it out. The aggression and
It is.
want to kill someone. You're not. You've got 10-ounce clothes on or something. But it's like it's really good. It's so good for kids. There's what is it? Who is it? Zab Judah, like guns down, gloves up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Zab.
love that mindset. It's like, yeah, like let's not be trying to kill people in the streets and get into
Yeah.
gangs and whatever. It's like, do it in the gym. Do it in the gym.
That's right.
There. And you probably make a lot of money.
Yes, you will if you do it
Inspired.
right.
You feel good about yourself. And you know what? When you feel good about yourself, you're not going to hurt others.
That's the word. That's it right there. Being, you'll feel good about yourself. Self-esteem, confidence. You just said it. You just wrap that up into like the most beautiful silhouette. And you weren't even singing, but you were singing that song. You were singing that song.
Well,
Yeah.
I learned
No,
that going to church.
I hear you.
It's like,
I hear you.
well,
No, I hear you. No, you dropping that. No, you really feel it though. You don't come with the BS. You came straight out with no chaser. I mean, you blazed the trail, And when you have that kind of DNA and you try to show people how to do it, but then you break it down like you just did, and you just said authenticity. Be yourself. You don't have to be me, because your whole thing might be low energy, but
Hmm.
very, very engaging. You don't have to be like Oprah wasn't a big loud person. Ellen DeGeneres danced. Everybody has their thing.
Yeah.
But once you put a little hot sauce on it, it's gonna be ready for the market.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
very true. This is interesting that we're having this conversation today.
Yeah.
I found this little time capsule thing. I wanted to bring it up because it's very relevant.
Yeah.
On April 11th,
Hmm.
1921, live sports hit the airwaves for the very first time. And guess what sport it was? Boxing. In Pittsburgh, 103 years ago today, KDKA was a broadcaster, and they played about between Johnny Ray and Johnny Dundee. And it was a boxing match. So a lot of people say, "Oh, baseball, weren't they the first?" No, that came months later. It was boxing.
Boxing.
So it's all,
Boxing.
when you think about 103 years ago, wow, the world was quite different.
Oh
Especially
yes.
an African American man as yourself and a woman. Think of what our lives would have been like 103 years ago. You know,
Insanely different. Unless my name is Jack Johnson.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
And not even with boxing, but
not
just general. I mean, women
period.
had just been given the right to vote
Yeah.
that year, and it was
Yeah.
the year of the Harlem Renaissance, and there was some civil rights issues, and horrible things too, like the Tulsa massacre, and that's 100
Yeah.
years ago next month. So I mean, you kind of have to know a bit of your history to
History.
appreciate like where we are now. People go, "Oh, things are so screwed up now." It's like, no, well,
No.
it has been a lot
It
worse.
has been a lot worse, but it's exactly what you make it. Because
Yes,
there are certain types of people that make it what it is now, and they don't look at the rhetoric. They are just so focused, and I think total focus people always have a thing that they do to keep them sharp. And so find your hack and
that's
get in
right.
front of that camera and tell your story in a way, because what we need is more people who believe that they are here for more.
Yeah.
And when you're able to do that, like what you're doing, and your daughter and your child, your son, like you've just blazed this trail. And I know that they look at you like, man, how are we going to keep up with mom? Like, we don't, 'cause mom's like on.
Come on, they're normal
Right.
people. So
Oh,
it's
they
like,
normal. That's it. That's it. But
Mom,
mom's not.
you have to wear that outfit.
Hey,
It's like, hey, yeah, I gotta let my flags shine, But
you
so
are.
they're used to me. But yeah, that and coming up to the present. So people look at the future and they talk a lot about AI. And
Yeah.
like one of the things I love about sport, and especially combat and boxing, MMA, whatever, is it's going to become, I think, even more popular than ever as AI becomes popular,
Yeah.
because it's so inherently human.
Yeah.
You don't want to see robots boxing. I'm sorry, you
Mm-mm.
just don't. I mean, I know there were the rock and sock and robots back in the day, but
Yeah.
um, you know.
Well, they're having a virtual match. I think Roy Jones did it with one of the internet influencers named Indio, and next Buster Douglas is going to
We
do.
carried that, by the way.
Oh, you guys
Yeah, we
carrying that?
carried it on pay-per-view.
Yeah. So, but people tuned in.
Yeah,
People tuned
no,
into it, so it's a thing.
it is a thing, and I think,
Yeah.
and I thought it was pretty good considering I'd seen some of the metaverse stuff from other companies, and
Hmm.
I thought it's much closer to like where you want to go. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying there can't be an industry there. There'll be all sorts of things, but
Yeah.
I think there's something really special about humans and their need to see how great a human can be, whether it's the Olympics or
Yes.
or boxing, because boxing is so human.
Yeah. It is. It is that factor. I think, like you said, that thing sparked you. That being able to be up and see that up close and see greatness and just the movement, the motion of men like ballerinas, but
Like art.
it's like art,
Yeah.
that just an art form. And then when you get to be motivated, and you spoke earlier about Mike Tyson got that moment and was able to meet Muhammad Ali, and that sent his thing to another level. And
Yep.
so that's why it's important for athletes today, don't you think, to really interact with the youth,
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
definitely. You want to be a role model, a mentor to someone, an example for them.
Yeah,
Especially because there's a lot of broken families out there too,
yeah.
and so maybe they can find someone who inspires them if they don't get it at home. And
Hmm.
that's important. I mean, kids, I sound like Michael Jackson, children are our future, but
Yeah, they
it's so true. It's like you really, I think adults really owe it to their to kids to give them some good role models and some inspiration,
yes.
and it goes a long way, and
But
it's that
speaking of inspiration,
stuff. Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you was
No,
finished.
I
But
go on. So cut.
inspiration, do you like when you come across the athletes right now, like who do you, are you more inspired by those who come in and they're kind of already ready? Like you got the Conor McGregor kind of guy who's already got the stuff and he knows, or do you like to see people blossom over the course of time?
Well, they both have their good
Pros and
points
cons.
and things that are inspiring. It is great to see someone evolve. One guy in particular is Mike Perry. He
Oh
was
yeah, I
in
know Mike.
UFC, and then he got into some trouble with some bar fight. He got
Just
a
a little bit,
little
a
bit,
little bit of
you know,
trouble.
but he has completely changed his life and his
Yeah,
trajectory, and now he's just like the hottest thing. Bare knuckle boxing. I love BKFC.
yeah,
They're owned, a disclosure here, by Triller as well. So,
yes.
so we carry all of their events.
Good
And there's
deal.
one this Friday night, and there's a big one coming up in LA. They just got sanctioned in California, Snucklemania 4. On the 27th of April. So we're super excited about that. Mike Perry is in the main event.
Yeah,
And,
we'll definitely put it on the page and stuff because I like that. And I had Scott Burt from over at the president over at BKB. He was great, man. Just great energy. And these guys, that sport is so. There are certain sports that could try hard and they just can't get people's attention. But the more you tune into that, it is like you can get pulled in.
it's very exciting.
Yeah,
I've seen a
yeah.
lot of them up close. I was at the Luke Rockhold event against
Oh
Mike
man,
Perry, where he prevailed, and some of the Paige Van Zandt ones
yeah.
in
Paige
South
is
Florida.
good.
I came out and saw a couple of those too, and it's amazing when you see. It's really exciting, and I think a lot of people kind of go, "Oh, there's so much blood" or whatever, but people get less hurt, but it is bloodier because
It's
it's
their art.
your hand, people. you know. Oh, you're on mute again.
Thing.
There you go.
People are doing it because that is what's in them.
Yeah.
That is no one does things that they don't want to do. Like I'm not going to say, "Hey, I'm gonna line up and start cleaning sewers." That's just not my thing. I'm not good at that. But other thing, the thing that I am good at is what I'm going to go after because if you are able to do what you love to do and get paid for it and then teach others how to do that, game over. You won.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. The blessings will come, whether it's economically or if it's just prestige, just people are able to appreciate you and you're giving people the opportunity to create a different trajectory in their lives. And
Yep.
that is nothing more gratifying than that. There's no check big enough. There's no anything big enough than when you create the proper trajectory for someone's life. Just like Mike Perry,
Yep.
he was on a trajectory and it wasn't great, but then his mess became his message. Now he can rock.
Yeah, and he's I love his trash talk and his gamemanship, and he also fought for a Triller event that we had once called Triad Combat, and he won there too. And that
Oh
was
yeah.
kind of the beginning where things were going well. And then at BKFC, he found his home. Like, yeah, this is my sport, and he's just tremendous, and he's a great promoter. Again, he's one of these guys. Like,
Yeah.
we will ask some people, like, hey, will you do a liner for us or tag and promote, that we're on Fight this Saturday or whatever. That the guys that make all the money will say yes. I can get
Hmm.
Jake Paul to do something. We can get KSI to do something for us. We
Yeah.
can do all these people who are making money. But then you ask some guy lower on the card, will you do this for me? And then they never get around to it. And it's like, there's a reason why
There was
you're not
reason.
moving ahead. And the whole thing with BKFCs is so great because they have this prospect series. And
Yes.
so they're always looking for people to come and try. They're doing tryouts. And if you're good
Good.
enough, then you get on the prospect show. And I love it when organizations have a pathway where if you want to work for them, I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of like the old studio system in Hollywood or whatever. There used to be like kind of pathways where you would go and you'd go, you study with this person, then you get on here. And now it's like, it's not like
Yeah.
that. It's who you know. And
Yeah.
for the most part, it's who you know. But
Yes.
BKFC has been very proactive in finding the next BKFC fighter. And because sometimes, people that maybe they don't think that they would do well doing that, or maybe they used to be an MMA fighter, but like
Hmm.
it's too much damage to the legs for all the kickboxing or the takedown,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they can
It's
still do
brutal.
stand up. I got the cardio and I got that hand work, but it's just I don't want to be pulled to the ground. Or so it, it, a lot of people go, oh, that's that new sport. But, as
Yeah.
no, that's an old sport, prior to the Queensberry rules.
Yes.
And I'm sure
Back
you
when the
talked about this
Queensberry rules.
too. The expression take the gloves off.
Yeah.
That's because you would only spar with
Yeah.
gloves,
Yeah.
because you didn't want to get hurt when you,
Training.
do the fight. It's time to
Yeah.
take the gloves off, get in the squared circle,
Let's
and
go.
okay, now go for it. It's the
Well,
old days was bare knuckle.
there are hundreds of people that reach out to the page every single month. We got 1.1 million people across 3 platforms. So when you guys are having those, please make sure you tag Master Boxing when you're having those tryouts and stuff like that, because we have people want to do it. I'm talking guys who are maybe in between their contracts with the UFC or Bellator, and they're like, hey man, you got a percentage of those guys that say, I want the smoke. So, how do I, they just don't know. They just don't know, but that would be a great resource and reference, because the guys are coming through our pages like, I want to do something. I don't have the connections.
Right.
The connections is everything.
Oh yeah, and you're in a great location because you're in South Florida, right? And
Yes.
that's where so many fighters live. It's like Fight Central, whether it's
Yeah.
MMA, BKFC, boxing, doesn't matter, they're
Everything.
all there. And and that's where like BKFC, their home away from home kind of is the Hard Rock in Fort
Yeah.
Lauderdale, right?
Fort
So,
Lauderdale,
and
Hollywood.
yeah, Hollywood. And so they play there all the time. And the one that coming up is Clearwater,
Yeah.
Florida, is the
And
one
now
Friday.
there's the betting. We can bet here at the
Oh yeah,
Hard
right.
Rock.
Yeah,
So that adds a little
yeah.
sizzle to the whole thing. It just brings a different, like, because see, I was a handicapper for ESPN, and
Ah,
so with that, people like, it's by itself, just the betting. I got guys who are on betting television shows that follow the page, and like Super Bowls and big major pay-per-views, like it's it's as big as ESPN.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just talking about the betting. So that's
Yeah.
another thing that people don't understand. They underestimate how popular just the betting is, and the commercials that are
Oh,
here in South
yeah.
Florida now about that. Man, I love it. That energy. We're gonna do a speed round, and what you got to do? No, you got to do. We got to close it
Okay.
out, but we got to do this. So on the speed round, what you're gonna do is you got 3 seconds to tell me an answer, and it's just
Oh,
little.
scared now.
Yeah.
Because I'm very spontaneous and I don't
Oh
have
yeah.
boundaries.
So I'm gonna give you a choice right now.
Okay.
Favorite type of combat athlete to watch: aggressive or clever?
I think most fighters at a good level are aggressive, so I'll go for the clever. Someone who does something unusual, I'm there all day.
Muhammad Ali. You're that. Steak or chicken?
Oh, steak. I love meat.
Wine, beer, or sparkling water?
I'm doing the sober kick right now, so a sparkling
Sparkling
water.
water. There you go. Pancakes, waffles, eggs Benedict.
Don't eat eggs. Can't stand them. Waffles.
Waffles. Let's go. 80s music or today's music?
You know, I grew up with MTV and whatever. I'm not over it. I like today's music.
What? Oh man, you hit me with.
And I know
All
Les
right.
Garland. I used to work for him. He was the founder of MTV too. I worked with him
Okay.
at the Tube Music Network. And
Oh,
I love all kinds of music. But I mean, there's just so much. I'm in love with Spotify. I'm listening to it. There's so much good music out there.
Oh. Well, you got to finish this sentence. My favorite movie is.
Godfather 2. Come on, that's easy.
Oh, we got something. All right. Drive or ride shotgun?
I'm going to drive because another fun fact about me, I actually used to be an ambulance driver in LA for like 6 months. I am an EMC.
What
Yeah.
haven't you done?
No, I have so many weird things that I have
Okay.
done.
I'm going to take it back on you right now. You have to finish this last sentence. John Belushi said, "There's no party like a
Toga."
toga."
Come on, I went to UCLA and you know we had toga parties all the time back then.
Oh my!
Not
Oh,
only
that's
that, but when I
oh,
worked
that
at
was easy for you.
we did this big campaign, and what we did was it was like a third wall kind of would open up,
Yeah.
or fourth wall, whatever you want to call it, and so it was a way to buy pay-per-view and DirecTV and whatever. We chose 3 iconic movies. One of them was Animal House.
Animal
And of
House.
course, you know, John Belushi is passed. So we went through his estate to get approval to get a scene from that movie. We also did Airplane was another one. The other one was Karate Kid.
Airplane.
And it was iconic movies. And we did a whole big campaign and we won like campaign of the year and whatever.
Oh, you've been really in it, like at the higher level. Okay.
But I'll ask you a speed round. Where
All
do you, okay, why do you think my handle is Four-Doored Baby? And I have a Threads account where people keep asking me like, why? But do you know?
See, I was going to literally ask you, what is the meaning behind this?
And I'll reveal it because
Okay.
my biggest social platform, believe it or not, is Threads. I don't know
Threads.
how I got to almost 15,000 followers on there, but my handle is Four-Doored Baby, and people are always saying, like, what is that? Okay, so I was born on an army base in Northern California in Monterey called Fort Ord. It closed down in the mid-90s, but it had been around for many, many years, and I was born there. My dad was in the army when I was born.
Oh man,
cool.
that was a vulnerable moment. Wow, Fort Ord, and so that is why you're just kicking ass and taking names, because you were born on a base. Now it makes
for $7 that my mom, she lives to tell me, like, yeah, you were $7. I should be $7 baby. You know?
The $7 baby. You are too funny. Well, I'm telling you right now, first I have to find out what do you got coming up in the next week so we can make sure that people are in the know. Because I popped this up, and I also was just going to ask you before we slide out, you know, how awesome is it right now to see these women now getting their shine in combat sports
Yeah.
all together, like all of these
Yeah.
people that doubted, and even some of the powers that be, you guys have some really big things coming up. Like this weekend Triller is going to get it popping. you
It
know
is, and AEW is like our biggest client because
yeah,
and normally we only carry their pay-per-view events
yeah,
outside the U.S. We're their international thing,
yeah.
but beginning the Dynasty show, that's a week from Sunday on the 20th, we're carrying it
Ooh,
in the US. And
what?
we're going to be carrying the next, at least 3 big pay-per-views in the US, which is awesome. We love them. It's an incredible, if you have not seen AEW, even if you don't think you like pro wrestling, you know,
Oh, we watched the whole card over the weekend.
this
We
is
my
like next level stuff. It like
Yeah,
this
no.
the storylines, the athleticism, it's all there. It's like watching a movie with athletes.
And I really locked in, and I remember talking with Mike, you know, years ago, like before the pandemic, and he owns, of course, Fight TV, but we were kind of getting introduced to that back then a little more, because it's really starting to pop up, and I'm saying, man, and it looks so, like, the guys are super athletic, and
Yeah.
just, it's really, really intimate violence. And I'm like, man, they are taking it to the next level. So anyone, and once you start, it's just like when you scroll, you're just going to get pigeonholed. You're just going to keep watching, because it is really entertaining to stay there and watch them at their highest level. They're skilled athletes, like on
Oh
another
yeah,
level.
they
Yeah,
are. And that's the thing that blew me away when I saw a live show. It's like, wow. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know how many athletes could have done that.
yeah.
It's like it's
No,
Olympians or something
oh,
like
no, no,
that.
no.
And just the way that they shoot things, it was like cinema verite, and like one thing was happening here and something else was happening there, and the
Yeah,
crowd was like into it. It reminded me of like football in Europe or something. It was
yeah.
just the crowds are totally into it. And yeah,
Totally
you
next
showed
level.
some of the TV shows that are here in the US, on TNT and TBS. Um,
Yeah,
carry those only internationally, but the big pay-per-view AEW Dynasty is a week from Sunday, April 21st, and we're super excited about it. And
yeah.
there's
I'm gonna take it.
just so many things that are coming up in the future. Lots of big boxing that I mentioned earlier, Knucklemania on April 27th with BKFC, with Mike Perry. You can see, him in his glory. The sumo at Madison Square Garden, this
Mm-hmm.
Saturday. And just, we do 1,000 events a year, 1,000. So
Slackers.
so, there are
Slackers.
like 20 or 30 different things every single week. And we have all sorts of surprises that are coming up too for some big shows. So,
Well, I
um,
see quality stuff. I see a well thought out process in developing growth. They have you at the helms doing what you do, and I just want to say I can't thank you enough for showing up. But showing up how you showed up, I think you just made a multitude of people want to level up, because energy begets energy, and reciprocity is a real thing.
that's right.
Give and take, pitch and catch. And we want to make sure that we keep this relationship going, and get you on sometime soon in the future, and keeping us in the know. And please, when you have your events, you have autonomy to tag us, please,
Okay.
because our people want to see what's going on. My audience is 60% MMA, in all disciplines, and the other is boxing and just people.
Yeah.
But we have a big influx of people. We got 1.1 million across, so you're going to have all kinds of people. It's just what are they seeing that's coming up. So keep feeding us. Make
Yeah,
sure
we
you connect
will.
with
Yeah.
Stacy. Stacy's going to connect with you guys, and make sure that we, keep her and collaborate on some things, because I know you guys are doing some good things, and we got a big audience, and we want to make sure we help you and do, reciprocity is a
Yeah,
real
we'd
thing.
love to work with you, and then there
Yeah,
might even be some talent, that on a show that you might want to interview or something. And just so you
absolutely.
know, I know I'm CMO of Triller TV, but there's a lot of people that do a lot of work. I don't do
Yeah.
this on my own. There's Owen
No.
on PR, and Joel in social media, and there's
Yeah.
Vicky who does our paid ads, and Adam who is getting all sorts of subscriptions for us, and Mike,
Yeah.
my boss, whom I've mentioned. I mean, there's so many wonderful
No.
people. So
But people who are in positions like yourself, you'll never get the gratification that you'll deserve, because only you know why you can work that way. That's a special gene. We call that a unicorn. So you keep that in your magic potion, because even if you try to teach someone that, they don't have the DNA. So thanks to you for popping into that position, because it takes someone with that kind of maniacal drive. That's why guys like Jake Paul are crushing it, because they just have more. You have more, and for coming on the show, you have more people now on from our team that's committed to supporting you guys. So, you know, anything you guys need, I'm here. All you got to do is tap me on the shoulder, and we're going to make sure that we build upon this, and it's just not a conversation, but it's a stone on the many that we're going to build a pyramid together. So thanks again for coming on, Kim. This is
yeah,
great.
my
This is
pleasure. So
great,
you're
man.
Port Ord baby too, so you can always and you can say, I can tell you what that
I could
means.
tell you the story, because nobody watching and following before this moment kind of knew what that was. But no, that's great stuff. Look, you enjoy the rest of your day. Go out there and keep crushing it. And special love from us to you and your team over there at Triller TV, Fight TV, Ford, baby. Bye, Kim.